not going to be able to get too much out. We'll at least get the TP reset with the teleportation back in. We haven't seen that much side lane movement this time around. Probably not to be expected until you get a little bit more. Doesn't feel like the side lanes have opened up. I was expecting maybe some movements down bot. Play with a shrapnel there. Still focusing onto that mid. But you've got Ponyo to help support this push. And Mikado is getting a steady shove in onto the tier 2 here. And at the very least, not contested by Tundra all too hard on that front.
Apologies about that, John. Mid lane. Looks like there is a fight breaking out right now. Ponyo could be in a bit of danger. Snowball will land, and Ponyo still alive for now. The Sprout will be there. They're locking down a little bit longer as Whitemon going for a run, keeping the vision up. The heals are too much, though.
Huh?
Pure. Gonna move in with the Eclipse now, but he's lost vision. No, he hasn't. He'll find him. It's all right. He'll secure the kill. All worth.
Very worthwhile. I mean, you're probably not looking for a wider team fight here for Pure early on, so you might as well get the pick off when that flips, get back to farm. They isolate Akashi out here as well.
They certainly have Akashi. He's a big target, and they've got him. Ramses and Sarks are able to get the job done. The wind run was on cooldown, and that's just going to make life even easier for Ramses now, who has a completely free lane, already top of the net worth board on the Alchemist, and it does certainly start to feel like this is going to be a pretty strong off-lane Alchemist game.
And it is. Getting that ramp up into more than likely just a standard Radiance build-up. The mischance is going to hurt the Wind Ranger even more. I'm a little bit surprised Akashi even tried to move a little bit forward with a Whirlwind. He didn't have his Javelin up at that point. There's no real output here for the Wind Ranger to threaten until at least the Javelin timing. And a little bit optimistic to try to look for the cleanup while all of that attention was dragged onto mid, even in a 1v1. I have to see if they can maybe get some movement across the gate. They will get Akashi and Ponyo for the same movement up top once more. This time around, though, Tundra is not camping around to be jumped. They are playing it safer, understanding what Talon's done in the last game.
Well, you say safe. They're looking at that mid-tier 1 tower instead here. Pure getting vision on Makoto. Shards will block the staircase, but Whitemon can't quite lock him down long enough. In fact, WS is here now, looking for the Tusk. They've still got help around here from Tundra, but they may just allow Whitemon to die, as they are unwilling to risk the rest of their lives. So Whitemon will be the sacrifice, but in the meantime, they got the mid-tier 1 tower. But the double-graded treants, it's just so much damage. Top lane, Pure. He will end up dying, though. Akashi able to secure a kill for himself, so a pretty nice one there, along with the tier 1 tower. But again, though, Tundra, they did find the tier 1 mid.
Yeah, and they can start to, again, play around that laning pressure we saw in the last game. Thompson still needing that full Maelstrom into the Gleipnir to have a little bit more presence, but can already just start to spam these treants around, keep every lane shoved in, maybe even threaten down bot at some point. Mid is still being chipped away by Mikado, though, and the TPs are in to stop it. The Ench army is here. That'll get the job done.
Shards on Ponyo. That'll lock him down. Here come the drinking buddies as well, so Thompson can get right to work, and of course Ponyo will just drop very quickly. Nice pick up here from Tundra. Probably not so happy that they lost their mid-tier 1 tower, but there's not really much they could have done about it, in fairness. They will at least secure something for their trouble, as they are also going to pop a smoke here with Whitemon and Saksa. Heading down towards the south, they'll see if they can find Akashi down at that bottom lane. And Akashi is still hanging around. Power shot going right through Ramses. The raindrops actually saves the life of Ramses on top. Unstable concoction being channeled. Akashi, wind running at the right moment, will be able to survive though. Here comes Thompson looking for some vision. Unable to find it though.
Nice little readout from Akashi. Full commitment out from Tundra. We'll at least find that tier 1 bot in exchange. Their pushing power again, with a Luna on hand, with an NP, is pretty damn strong. Just a lot of just right-click damage to each of these early objectives. Get that done with no contest, instantly TPing back into their mid and top to get that farm flowing. Talon, not at the point where we feel the comfiest in team fights. They do have Arena ready. Egg not quite there yet from Jokam, but you don't have easy initiation angles yet. You still need that blink up on WS. You've got an initial item coming out here for Mikado. That is his blink ready to go. So you could maybe play off of this DK. See if they will want to play more aggressive. I mean, you rush blink on DK, you're not going to be farming around, even with Fire Dragon form. So you will want to get a kill, and there's that smoke. A kill onto Pure would be massive. This Luna has not had the best of time post-laning phase. Even the laning phase was a little bit slower for Pure in terms of net worth here.
Still pumping around. Smoke is still up. They're still running towards the north. Dragon form popped. Pure was underneath vision for a moment, and they will jump in with the stun. Arena down to boot. The spear will land very nicely. And Pure, well, he's trying to fight through it, but there's just no helping coming. He's actually a pretty tanky carry, but it is not going to be enough. Talon able to secure a very important kill.
Again, this Luna has been sacrificed a little bit. Laning phase, yeah, they maybe find that kill on Jocam. Overall, WS still gets control on the Mars. Not the furthest range matchup for the Mars to feel uncomfy in. He is sacrificing a lot of his farm for Ramses and Thompson to scale up as well. So this Luna's impact's not going to be felt for a little bit longer, and Talon's just poking at that wound. This is still giving that space they're looking for in Tundra, though. Again, Ramses just lacking the Sacred Relic, already has the gold for that full Radiance. Already up and running. Farming pace is going to kick in. The mischance could save him from these two physical cores they have here as they jump Jocam.
Getting up again. Thompson finding Jocam underneath the wards. Shards are going to land, of course, from White One. That'll force out the egg, though. Now, do they have enough of the egg? Thompson, he gets caught out. The power shot, it's going to get the job done. In fact, Ponyo, he'll also follow. They'll try for a run, but now Whitemon's also been caught. Whitemon will drop. They found a shackle on Saksa. That'll be a fourth target. Can they find the fifth? It is Pure, and they know he's there. They just need the blink up, and they've got it. Makoto will land the stun. Pure trying to just run underneath that tier 2 tower. Here comes Ramses to help out, but Pure is certainly going to fall as Ramses now, feeling charitable, will hand one more over here to Talon. My goodness, what a team fight to come out. And that should have been a really easy pick-off onto Jocam, but that egg last second. And the decision from Thompson to turn around to try and burst it down, it just cost them so much. Now Akashi, bottom lane, focus fire popped. Thompson, he's going to go for the fight. Akashi pretty confident here with the power shot out, though the wind run not lasting long enough. And Thompson will just man up and secure the kill, but now Makoto's here. Makoto will trade, but it's still a very good trade for Thompson.
Yeah, not too bad. Get that big kill on the Wind Ranger, slow down that tempo as it's coming through, stall out that timing for the Gleipnir here. I think we're also starting to see some of these shortcomings here for Tundra in this sniper pickup. Saksa, yes, his damage is great with shrapnel in the laning phase, and the panel touched on this. The damage is insane. It doesn't feel like they managed to get as much as they'd want from that lane with Ramses in terms of slowing down Akashi. And now when the sniper's caught out, it's just dead. He has the Pavis to try to save himself. No shard just yet. That could be another tool, maybe a 4-staff rush. But the damage output's not feeling amazing with the shrapnel. I mean, we saw Mikado just stand under a full shrapnel, no issues. So they're starting to lose a little bit of that luster here, although Ponyo
trying to get the D wards off, but does end up sacrificing his life. Not really expecting White One and Pure to be right around the corner. And they still have the vision there. It has not been dewarded or denied by Tundra, so I suppose you can always go back for it. Pure's going to run into WS here top lane. WS actually trying to go for the fight. Does have a Yule Scepter up, but drops the arena first. Pure happily just standing his ground for now. WS will eventually throw a spear out, but it doesn't really stun him up. So they have the DK. Now the egg dropped on top. Still the Luna is perfectly fine as Whitemon is just trying to Giga Chat it up. Pure though in danger once again, does finally go down as now Whitemon trying to back off, but here comes the cavalry. Saksa though and Whitemon both burning to Jocam. They're both down. Now Thompson dropping low. Thompson is gone. Ramsey's on top, trying to run away, but it's gonna be another team wipe for Talon. Oh my! I'll tell you what, John, game 2, the boys woke up. They're here now.
That they are. I mean, we saw this kind of pacing from Talon in game 1 as well. They're mid-game, they're finding some openings, they're finding some isolation play. This time around for Tundra, I think their big issue with this kind of draft is their team fight is not there. Right, like they last picked this Ramses offlane Alchemist. They don't really have a way of controlling people beyond like a Gleipnir pickup on Thompson, which he does have. Beyond that, I mean, it doesn't even boil down to like teamfight control there, but they just lack control in general. You're reliant on Sprout, you're reliant on isolation with Shards and Snowball, and that's really it for your control. You have really good damage if you can hold people in shrapnel, but you don't have a stable way of getting that done. You don't have a great egg clearer either. because the Luna is very close range. Again, even with the Dragonlance, doesn't stand the furthest way back to be safe. And it just puts you at massive risk. Talon, 17-12, 4K up, looking good at 16 minutes into the game. Starting to hit that tempo spike early on.
Well, this ward's doing a lot of work here, John. Thompson being spotted out by WS. Will go for the fight. He's stuck in the arena anyway, so he's got really no choice in the matter. And Thompson, he will drop once again. And that Observer ward, just towards the north of that tier 2 top tower. It's doing some great work here for Talon.
And it is. Not the most obvious spot either. And they've not been able to send their supports over after that fight up top earlier. We saw how fast the backline melts as well, and how much poke damage the side of Talon has. And they're going to be able to find this tier 2. First tier 2 of the game going their way. Up against an NP, that's a pretty big loss for Tundra. You'd expect a little bit more from Thompson to try to, again, just split push, but he's been looking for these fights. He's been angling in, as we've seen in game 1. This time around, not panning out the same way. I think Talon's done a great job in correcting their draft. This draft, it does feel a lot more playable as well. You hit some spikes now. Akashi does have the Gleipnir.
He's going to land on Ramses, but he'll be able to just kind of dispel that off and run. The Whitemon was there with the drinking buddies just in case anyway. It seems to Talon they still want to try and force a fight once again. They are heading towards the side of Tundra, down to that bottom right corner of the map. Ponyo trying to scout out with this Hellbear Smasher. We'll see Thompson very soon. Is Ponyo happy to just tank for the team? It seems as though Talon have made the decision to just retreat. The Tundra in a very defensive position, not giving it away any openings here to Talon. And they're going to go for a smoker. Saxa and Whitemon, they'll be the ones to try and rotate into that Radiant jungle once again. Invis picked up by Whitemon will make that a little bit easier, but Joe Camp will just Icarus dive away. Looks like they have found out Ramses. Arena and Spear will land onto the Alchemist, and Ramses, he does not have his ulti available for another 2 seconds. Still waiting it out. He'll land a very nice stun, and now the turnaround. Ramses, he'll survive. It's now WS in trouble. Joe Cam running to boot. Meanwhile, Akashi. Oh, Akashi! Look at the damage. He's finally down. Ramses, it's him against the world, and he just ends up just destroying himself. It was looking so good for Tundra, but Akashi comes in. The arrows were everywhere, John. Everyone copped it.
A whirlwind, man. That damage is just insane, especially with the Gleipnir fully up. The procs everywhere. You've got the isolation. You get a really good front line as well here for Talon to play with WS just taking these aggressive plays that he loves to do on the Mars. A big factor here as well was that Jokam doesn't die. Right? Like, they're playing under vision. They managed to get the jump first on that smoke play onto Ramses, nail the arena combination, have, again, these two tanky frontliners cop a lot of the spells, and Jokam somehow manages to slip away while Ponyo provides the distraction on the side, giving Akashi the room to just whirlwind in. It's just ruinous for the side of Tundra. They need these auras to be up on Ramses.
That is a stupid amount of damage being pumped out from Akashi. It was just looking like such a lost team fight for Talon, but boy oh boy, just one hero shows up and everything changes immediately. But now Tundra, not to be outdone, they'll start to try and reclaim their side of the map. WS and Ponyo, they'll happily retreat. Thing is now, the net worth sitting at 9k the way of Talon makes it very hard for Tundra, especially with a draft like this where you want to be playing from in front. They'll TP everyone down towards the bottom side of the map, where they'll try for the Tormentor here on the Dire side, and they will secure here for Saxa. But in the meantime, of course, Talon, they'll just take the bottom tier 1 tower for free. There's just so much catching up to do now for the side of Tundra. Like, they're just going to sit back and relax for quite a while. Especially for Pure's sake, because that man is quite behind when it comes to the net worth department.
That he is. But again, you're playing with an NP and an Alchemist. Both of these heroes will just soak up that farm a lot faster than this Luna does. And I don't know if that investment is really paying off. I do appreciate that Ramses is going for the aura coverage that they are lacking on Tundra. He's got the pipe, he's going Crimson Guard, and that's going to really stall out Akashi's damage output here at the very least. But it still doesn't fix their fundamental control issue. Even if you survive the initial onslaught, I'm not sure how you deal with Arena Egg overall. I'm not sure if you have enough to burst Makata.
Oh, I think Makoto's baiting here. His team is right behind with a big smoke out, and Thompson, he was caught in the front lines. In fact, now a big arena from WS catching 3. Snowball will save for now, but the egg just going, and now the whirlwind out from Akashi, destroying everyone. Thompson's been caught. He'll try for the Sprout TP play out, but there's just no chance in hell.
I don't think so.
Talon finding another 3 targets.
Don't be mad.
And they're feeling confident now as they'll go through the bottom tier 2 tower. Hell, they might even go to the tier 3 tower. Why the hell not?
And they've got that pushing pace with Makoto around. Not much Ramses and Pure can really do to stop this. And they've got the clips up, but again, how do you take these team fights, Ramses?
They've even found another Akashi. Had the spidey senses tingling. Ramsey's still trying to fight this one out. He was kind of just left alone there for Akashi. He'll hand the tip over now. A bit of sweet, sweet revenge as Ramses just would not back off. And now the bottom racks is certainly set to go down. Back top lane, they found Pure. They have found Pure, though here comes Thompson, but you've got WS to help out, so Pure annihilated. Thompson, what can you do? The answer is nothing. Double kill for Akashi. Meanwhile, in the tire base, Saksa in huge trouble. Drinking Buddy's gonna help a little bit, but not too much, as now Whitemon also set to fall. Does go down, a full team wipe. More tips coming up from Akashi. That's the Filipino coming out at him, John. There it is.
And it is the boy from Butuan giving the tips out. Yeah, very quiet here from our young player WS. Side of Tundra, again, they don't have a lot of play. Like with an off lane out that didn't really pop off, going for the aura build, even with that survivability, how do you expect to fight into this? Like the 2 durable front lines, no real burst damage to speak of. Even the Ench is going to take a while to melt through as well. And you've got this Wind Ranger with so much movement and so much damage that you really don't have stable catch for. The answers are hard to find right now for the side of Tundra.
Bit of a chase. This looks like a very desperate chase here, as they are going to try on the Ench, but there's just no chance of killing Ponyo. Makoto, he's a tanky boy. I don't think Makoto's dying that easily. And props to Tundra for trying to find at least a bit of a straggler, but Talon will not allow it. In fact, Talon are looking like they're setting up for a bit of a bait play. Ooh. Hoping someone farms the mid lane, and Ramses, he'll be the man to show up. They'll make the immediate jump in. Drinking Buddy's out, but the arena gonna lock both of them down. Whitemon with the snowball, he'll buy a little bit of time, and meanwhile Akashi right in the tier 4 towers. He could not give a crap, this man. The Wind Ranger just shredding everyone apart. There goes Thompson. There goes Ramses by the looks of it. He is gone, and GG is called. Talon will tie this series up 1-1.
That they do after a spectacular game 1 from Tundra, especially past around 20 minutes. Talon come back in game number 2. They correct their draft really well. They see the NP opener. They go with the DK mid this time instead of messing around with something like the Ricky mid. And all their lanes look pretty damn good. You were trading blows a little bit. You did lose first blood, but lane control was all set up. Akashi wasn't pressured at all. He hits his timings. You had Mikado being really active with that quick blink coming out from him. And this time it was the side of Tundra that was kind of coming in with forced movement, especially in that mid-rune fight when they were trying to chase down Jokam. It just fell apart from that moment on.
Absolutely, a 1-1 series here between Tundra and Talon. And with that, Jonathan, we can head back to our panel and see what they thought about this game too.
It was a great display from Talon, is all I really kind of have to say here. Not just in gameplay, but also in the way that they were able to adjust their draft. I think that's one of the toughest things, because you come into this, you have your ideas. When I say come into this, like into not only your matchup against Tundra for them, but also just this event of, okay, what's going to work for us? What do we think is really in that S tier? And to be able to adjust it just slightly. They didn't do a full 180 winter, but just enough of a change that team fights easier to execute, significantly more impact from their supports as well, it felt.
Yeah, the draft is like way more balanced. It's easier to play. We mentioned this in the previous panel. And I felt like overall, picking WS Hero early and just sticking to it probably might be the way to go for them, instead of waiting until the end and being indecisive about what you want to put him on in the draft.
I think my standout for this is, everyone knows Wind Ranger does well. She puts out that damage, especially with the Whirlwind facet there. But the Phoenix, I think, is the hero that hasn't been on a radar competitively for very long. So to see it come out here, and just the amount of damage it's able to do on the back line towards the 4 and the 5s on the side of Tundra, it just made them a non-factor. You no longer had that damage coming out from the sniper. You no longer had those saves in the Drinking Buddies or in the Snowball as well for you.
Yeah, I mean, Joachim played an amazing game on the Phoenix here. They definitely got a lot of kills, and they didn't have a way to mitigate anything as well on the side of Tundra. You're picking a lot of heroes that want to get kills, but if you are behind, you're in a situation where team fighting is very difficult. And just to go back to Talon and sing their praises about how they adjusted so well in the drafting stage. Yep. They picked the DK, it went to the mid lane like we wanted. They block picked, which I think was the bigger part of this game, the Ench and the Mars, and they picked the Phoenix on top of it to give it to like the good team fight damage. And once you get behind a little bit, this Alchemist who's going Radiant, your mid NP who doesn't buy any auras either, your supports aren't buying many auras as well, you have a Luna who wants to farm. Once you get behind with the draft that Tundra has, you have no chance against Talon's draft. They just have too much overwhelming team fight.
I mean, this is why I felt like the Radiance was kind of bad. I know you mentioned that you felt like it could be okay, but I felt like when the Wind Ranger TP'd top, okay, he gated top to take the top tower. If the Elk had like face boot solar crest, because he had that kind of net worth, but he was just saving for his Radiance. If he had like the early game items and he went and fight, I feel like the game would have been more comfortable for Luna, because the Luna kind of got kicked out of the lane, and I think she died as well because she stayed too long and she got killed, and her game wasn't as good as it could be, you know. Yeah. And you talk about the Phoenix doing a lot of damage in the team fights. That was also partly because like I think the early fights the Elk went Radiant, so he got a pipe later, but it was late, you know. They already lost like one too many team fights, and I felt like the whole game kind of fell on them, and they couldn't really farm on the Luna anymore.
I would love to see a game 3 of this series, just because I feel like the way that the draft went from game 1 to game 2, like Fear mentioned, there was the block picks. I feel like Mars would be a really high value pick between these two teams, because both WS and Ramses, they honestly carried both games with the Mars. Yeah. Like the fact that this hero not only gives the team fight that is needed for, at the very least within the meta of this series, two teams that want to fight constantly, but also he's a good pick-off hero as well. You can just throw out like a casual spear and hit somebody with a stun and kill somebody.
He's very good against all the range carries now. The Lina, Mirana, Wind Ranger.
It's a good hero. It's a high win rate as well.
Unfortunately, Jenkins, we're going to have to stick to the best of twos. You're not going to get a third game. But we can look at this series. We've just been talking about game number 2, but someone that has a little bit more information, something they want to bring up from game number 1 is Purge.
Thanks, Nat. Yeah, there's a lot of really big moments that happen at TI every year, and I want to look at some of those detailed moments, at least for the first game that we caught. Ramses was playing Mars. He was very instrumental. He was the initiator guy. He's the one that's catching some big moments. So let's take a look at this Roche fight. It was around 32 minutes here. What Ramses did first was he fed his life mercilessly to the enemy team. He got very little value out of this other than saying, hey, the team is here, they're going to kill me, and now you can finish Roche. But what he did afterwards was really cool. The team basically prepares to fight if they need to, and when it looks like the commitment has happened, he does buy back. He TPs to the top outpost. He's going to go take the gate to go show up to the fight and see how much impact he has in this fight. Now, if you look at the start, Thompson's half HP, has already used BKB. He is going to die. But Mars up here is going to jump in and change this fight outcome in a huge way. And what the arena does basically is it makes all ranged attacks just not go through this. So that means Thompson can just skirt his little butt to the left. That protects him from the Mirana and other heroes inside the ring. And then he also gets a great double nuke on all of the heroes that are in the ring as well. And then Thompson being very, very low. Check this out. 6 seconds ago, actually, was when he pulled out the little Lotus is here, which allows him to keep Thompson alive. Thompson had 2 HP there before using the Lotus. Completely changed the outcome of the fight. So not only do they get Roche, they also turn that into a great team fight, which allows them to pressure the game. So one big moment from the first game. We'll be bringing you guys a lot more of those as the tournament progresses.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Purge. It's great to see that breakdown, because Roche fights are always important in every game. We know that. But how you're able to still make it work for yourselves, even when you're one hero down, when someone's already dead, how quickly and impactful a buyback and a twin gate can be for you right there. And also leads into what you were saying, that Mars is going to be really highly contested. Does that continue on throughout a lot of different aspects in different games, different teams, even into different stages, all the way up to playoffs and maybe even main stage of Mars being looked at? Or is there going to be more?
I think so. I think part of the reason for that is because his big issue was not that he wasn't a strong hero. He was still considered like an A-tier offlaner, even when everybody was building like the pipes and the greaves of the world. But Mars does not want to build pipe and greaves. He wants blink BKB. That's what you've done on Mars in every single meta that he's existed. And now that those items are...
Not true. Sometimes you build Yules.
Sometimes Yules, and then into the blink. And then into
He's
the
so
blink.
good here.
Now, people are already not going to be building those items anyway because they've fallen off a little bit. People are trying to figure out new things that they can get away with. So I think that really helps Mars that the offlane meta is switching, and he was already A tier.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very interesting because both these teams are going to go into their next series like, oh, and Mars, this is great. And we'll see if it continues to work. If there was a game 3, the meta would be evolved between these two teams in the third game, but not now.
Yeah, well, look, you don't get a game 3. It's best of 2. We're still in groups, but we do get a second series. It's Nouns up against BB Team, and we've talked about what the offlane meta could potentially be. So let's actually talk to one of the offlaners. Gunnar is standing by. We're going to have a quick interview with him.
Hello, we are joined by Gunnar, the offlaner of Nouns. And Gunnar, obviously, welcome to the International. You've defeated Shopify at last to get here. How does it feel, and what's the burden of the NA region like on your shoulders?
It feels really nice because last year we were the 3rd team from NA to get to TI, and now we're the only team. So it feels good to be like representing the whole region.
Absolutely. So, these qualifiers obviously were, a big moment for you guys. You were able to qualify for both the big events this summer. What was it that enabled you to sort of overcome those difficulties and get these qualifications?
I think individually all of us tried really, really hard and played a lot before those qualifiers to prepare. I remember there was a day at Wallaki I woke up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and I played till pretty much I went to sleep, and I wanted to practice my Doom. I played like 15 Doom games in a row. Specifically for those qualifiers, we hit like a really good peak for the team at the time, and it was really nice to see that we felt really confident going into them.
You obviously believe that this team can do it. You have a lot of trust in your teammates and yourself as well. But there's also like a lot of underdogs at this DI. There's a lot of first timers. There's a lot of question marks. What do you believe makes you different from the rest of the teams coming in?
I think recently we've gotten a lot better than we were pretty much the whole year. After Riyadh, it was pretty disappointing for us. I think we could have done better, but then in the last 2 tournaments we got top 6 in both of them. And I think we're kind of hitting the point in the patch where we all feel really comfortable playing our heroes. I think Copy's really, really good, and I think he's going to show it at this TI. And also Yuma has worked on kind of presenting himself to carry the games in the game and the way he talks. And I think he's improved a lot, and I think he'll carry us.
That's what you want to hear. All right, so obviously you switched from mid to offlane a while ago. It feels like you're very well settled into that role. Now that you've kind of gotten to see all that the offlane has to offer and the meta shifts and everything, how do you feel in this role compared to how you felt at mid?
I think at the start of the year, I didn't really know offlane that well, and I was kind of just writing off the game is pretty much the same from TI, just I'll do everything. And then as the year went on, I think I started to struggle more because the role kind of changed a little. There was patches, learning new heroes. And so probably in the middle of the year was the hardest for me to really have to learn the offlane and play it. And then I think now it's getting back to the point where I feel really confident. I'm playing my heroes. And I would say the last 2 or 3 months I've improved a lot, I would say.
Yeah, I think that comes across as well. Do you ever feel like you're kind of in a good position to constantly be adapting because you have swap roles, you've been kind of more flexible than players who have just been doing the same thing since day one? Do you feel like that sometimes you can use that to your advantage when there's meta changes?
There's been some heroes that randomly pop up in offlane, and it's heroes I played before, which are really nice. Like I played Mars mid a lot and Pango mid, and both those heroes, different parts of the year, were really popular.
Yeah.
Right now I think it's mostly pretty standard offlaners. So right now it's not per se what I'm like the old heroes I used to play.
Yeah.
But in terms of kind of being aggressive on the map, I think last TI, the mid role was kind of similar to what the offlane is now. There was a bunch of tanky strength heroes that would just go in and fight the enemy constantly.
Heart blade mail.
Yeah, heart blade mail. And so this time it's kind of replaced with auras to some extent, but the playstyle is still the same. So knowing your limits, going in and living with 100, 200 health is pretty much what I was doing before. So to some extent, yeah,
The meta's
it's similar.
followed you.
Yeah.
Well, as for yourself, I know your parents are, huge supporters of you. Like we've talked about that in the past. They came to Seattle last year. Are they going to be watching or attending this year?
I think as of now, my mom and my sister are coming.
Oh wow!
So they'll both be here for the main event. Last year at TI, when we made top 8 and played in the big arena in front of my family, it was probably one of the best moments of my life, if not the best moment of my life. Not just because of the family, but just knowing how special TI is.
Yeah.
And so I think this year, I don't think it'll be any different. Even though it's a second TI and you could say it's not as special as your first, I think it will feel the same.
How would it feel to win with your family and audience and everything you've done to get to this point?
This team does have has what we need to win. I think it'd be amazing for Copy and Yuma. It's their first TI. I think we can do it. I honestly feel pretty confident going into this TI.
Oh, beautiful piece between Nomad and Gunner there. I love that he talked about last TI. It was a slightly different roster, of course, for Nouns there, but just how far they made it and now how good this team is looking coming into this TI. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted because Jenkins has had a little bit of an outfit change for the Nouns series. Is that what this is for your NA friends and brothers?
No, I changed shirts. I had a different shirt on, so... But
Okay,
yeah, I'm really excited
cool.
to see the series. I think Nouns versus BB Team will be great. I've really enjoyed watching BB Team at previous tournaments. I think they've kind of dispelled the myth that they're this tilting team. They've looked really good. They haven't won a tournament yet, but they've always consistently done extremely well. They're a power roster.
What's extremely well? Like what's...
They got 4th in Fissure, they got 5th through 6th in Riyadh, and they got 3rd in Dream League. I mean, these are nothing to scoff at.
Would you have a favorite in this series though, or like?
My favorite,